Hey guys, it's Samuel Bryan Hill, and I'm really excited to be with you and to share some relationships that I personally have, some of my connections with you, to bring them to you. What I've learned over the last few years as I've worked with entrepreneurs and business owners and startups is we all are facing challenges, but at the end of the day, business at its base is the same. And so if we can look at the experiences of some others that have gone through maybe where we're at today or where we're going tomorrow, it can give us guidance in how to navigate through those waters. Our hope through this medium is that one will be able to inspire you, because we all need a little inspiration. But more importantly, that we'll be able to equip you with some of the answers to some of these tough questions. And from that, we'll be able to ignite you to go passionately after what God created you to do specifically. Once again, we hope you enjoy some of my friends and some of the connections I'll be able to share with you here. And we just like to say thanks and go after it. Lara, we're so glad to have you with us today. We love One Faith Boutique. Melissa shops there all the time, and we're really excited about it. And it's really kind of become something more than just a clothing boutique. I mean, it's kind of got that destination location thing happening with it. I know of several stories where people will go up and see another particular location here in Oklahoma, and on the way they come to you guys as well. That's kind of more than a boutique. So how did you get started?
Well, I would say God started my journey a long, long time ago. When I was in college, I decided I wanted to be a missionary. And so I went on all sorts of mission trips every summer break, Christmas break, fall break, and so I decided I wanted to be a missionary. But at the same time, I fell in love, and so I got married. And God had other plans, and I spent several years questioning why my journey did not go the way that I thought it was supposed to. I thought I was supposed to be a missionary in Africa feeding children, but instead I got married and started having children and was a housewife and taking care of kids. And so I had 4 kids, and
That looks a little bit different than being a missionary.
absolutely. But I came to the conclusion after many years in prayer and questioning why I didn't get to take the journey that I thought I was supposed to. And I realized my mission field was my home. So I put my heart and soul into my 4 kids and raising them to be godly children and people, and decided that must have been what God had intended for me. But what I learned was God was preparing me not for a mission field overseas or anything, but for a mission field through owning a business.
What's your following count on social media?
Well, on Facebook right now, we're right around 500,000.
That's pretty significant for a clothing boutique.
Yes, it is.
What was your motivation? What was your strength to keep moving forward?
Truly, 100% it was God, because my husband and I both spent so much time in prayer together and on our own, and I had some very close friends that were very helpful in encouraging me on a regular basis too. But more than anything, I just knew that this was God's will for my life, because He called me to do this, and I had to believe that if He called me to and He called me and brought me to this, He was going to bring me through it.
Wow.
And so I spent so much time praying and just asking Him for guidance, and so many crazy things happened at the beginning. And make no mistake, there were many days that I spent crying and wondering what I had done,
Right.
and questioning myself and questioning God's will. But, on some of those deepest, darkest days, God always came through. And so I'm just wanting people to understand it's not just about clothes, it's also about the ministry, more so about the ministry than anything else. And so as the people are coming to my house, I'm getting to share this with them and tell them in hopes that they'll tell someone else that may be interested also in joining us.
So then you moved to a location on Main Street. I believe it was, 800 square feet? It's pretty small.
A little over 800 square feet, yes, which was quite a bit smaller than even just my formal living room, my formal dining room. But again, God just opened doors. I had been calling several locations trying to get into some new properties here in Yukon, thinking that would be the best setup for me. But again, God knows better. And through a friend of a friend, we heard about an opening on Main Street in this little tiny store, and the rent was doable, and we called the owner, and he let us go look at it at 9 o'clock one night, and we looked at it in the dark, and he said, if you want it, you need to tell me now because someone else is looking tomorrow. So we took that leap of faith and signed the papers. And the same day we signed the papers, which was the next day, my husband quit his full-time job and decided to come on full-time with me. And so that was in February of 2015. And so we moved part of our store into the actual store, but it wouldn't all fit. So I still had quite a bit in my house. So to fulfill the online orders, we were running back and forth between my house and the store, trying to fulfill all the online orders. And it was at this time that we hired our first employee. And I had my first full-time employee and part-time employee when we moved into the store. But of course, I spent most of my time there in the store myself. And Craig was working from home because there was no room in the store for him.
Even as we're talking about this, and I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that kind of struggle with this, timing is key. And if we don't get the timing right, we can quickly throw everything off.
Absolutely.
That timing is so key. So then you're at this moment, you've been told no, which is also an important lesson to learn from this, that often in our first steps, we're being told no. You've been told no by the online boutiques that you were trying to purchase from, or not boutiques, but from
The
distributors, the vendors. You've been told no by the lady you're trying to get the bigger location from, and then timing happens, and in the right time, and then you see this large growth. So now we're moving into the new location.
Well, actually, whenever she very first told us that she was willing to sell it, we went to the bank and we were told no by the bank as well. And so
a lot of no's here.
That's right. And I just, I am a typical woman. I spend the first day crying, and then I decide, okay, God, I'm going to learn to be patient as you've taught me for the last year and a half of this journey. At that point, we'd been in business about a year and a half. And the bank told us we need X amount of dollars to put down, and we didn't have that. And
because you'd taken everything you already had.
Correct.
And bought clothes.
Correct. And as you do it when you start a business, everything we made was going right back into the business.
Right.
And my dad is such a godly man. He would look at our numbers and say, you don't have the numbers to be donating as much money as you're donating. And I would tell him, Daddy, this is God's business, not mine. This is what he called us to do. We're doing it. And somehow he continued to provide for us. And again, when the bank told us you need X amount of dollars, we thought, well, there's no way. What are we going to do? So we prayed. And interesting enough, over the next 30 days, that is exactly to the penny how much money we made in order to put down on the building. So exactly 1 month later, we went back to the bank and we were ready. And so we bought that store in December of 2015. There are many days, though, I look around the store and I just sit in awe and I just praise God and thank him, because I look around thinking what he has turned it into. But we have customers come from, and friends, I don't even call them customers. They're friends from out of state all over the place that take trips to come see us and come see what we're about and what all we've got, and to meet us in person. A lot of my girls spend a lot of time on camera as well because we like to put videos out, and so they enjoy getting to meet our staff, and I enjoy getting to meet them. But it seems so unreal to me when I think about it. I just need to see it from another perspective in order to actually drink it in, that this is reality, that this is how people view it. But again, I tell everybody, it's God's business, not mine. And if that's what he chooses to do with it, then I couldn't be more thrilled. Thank you.
All right, one more question for you. 3 words that describe you.
Oh, goodness gracious. I would say loud. I'm very loud. Sometimes I like to laugh a lot. Loyal. And, oh, goodness.
The last one's a little tough, right?
A little bit tough. Optimistic. I would say I'm optimistic about my future, optimistic about life.
That's awesome. That's
Yes.
really good. All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. Lara Davis, One Faith Boutique. Check them out. They're totally amazing. It's at ofb.com or onefaithboutique.com.
onefaithboutique.com, and then we've also started onefaithministries.com and onefaithtees.com.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Great. All right. So thanks for being with us, Lara.
Thank you.
Hey guys, it's Brian. This is a segment I like to call Just a Thought, where we just kind of take a moment to just kind of process through some things. This week I've been thinking about the idea of boundaries. I happened to be over at a entrepreneur's house last night for dinner. Great people. But while I'm there, the guy gets 3 phone calls and 2 additional texts between the hours of 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. from employees, things that were going on. Now, I understand in business that we all have something that's happening. I get it. We're busy, which is a curse word. But we stay with all of these things happening. But my issue is when we start to allow it to take from our family. See, when it starts to suck from my time with my children and my time with my wife, it starts to create things like resentment. It causes frustration. And then that just kind of, it may be silent for a bit, but it starts to just fester. It becomes like a virus, a sickness. And then it moves on into our employees, because then we start to begrudge them for taking from our personal life. So that's why it's important to set boundaries with your employees. It's also important, if you're partners with your spouse, like I am, to set boundaries of time. For us, our cutoff time is 6 p.m. Now, I'm also a night owl, so I'll go back and I'll work more after 10. But you see, during that time that my kids are up, I've set that aside as family time. Now, that may not work specifically for you. You may have to figure out where your own boundaries are. But boundaries are what make you good at what you do. You have to focus in on boundaries. Focus on that. But that's just a thought.